The Paladin Bard, also known as the Bardadin. This is an amazing multi-class that you can do in Baldur's Gate, both relying on your charisma stat and strength or dex, depending on which one you want to go down. Now for me personally, this will be a strength, con and charisma build, but you have the options to do whichever you prefer. Now, to start this build, we are going to do a level by level guide and a combat tutorial so you can really see it in action. So let's get started. At level 1 we are taking Bard, the sole reason being bardic inspiration and stuff like that. We don't need to worry too much about Paladin at the moment. We're going to be taking that at level 2. So let's start with Bard. Now for your cantrips, you can really take anything you want. My two choices would be Vicious Mockery as well as Blade Ward. And for your spells, I would take Thunder Wave, Tasha's Hideous Laughter, I would take Healing Word, and Fairy Fire. These are probably 4 of my favourite spells in the game. Another option would be Cure Wounds. I'm also a big fan of Bane. Your instrument, again, any you fancy, take whatever you want. Now your stats, this is where I would change up a little bit. I would apply your bonus to strength, and I would remove your dex to make that about 12 or so. Knock your intelligence down to 10, put it into con, and I would have a build that sort of looks like this, so 14 strength, 14 constitution, and 17 charisma. Skill proficiencies really depend on what you want your Bardadin to do. Performance and persuasion is what it starts with, and deception is always good. There are other things you can put into though, like sleight of hand or stealth. Really depends on how you want your character to be outside of combat. Okay, at level 2 we are dipping into our Paladin for this now. We're going to take Oath of the Ancients, just because I really like Healing Radiance, and I like the Tenants. Really, you can take anything. Holy Rebuke is good, Inquisitor's Might is awesome, but for me, Healing Radiance is really, really good to use here, especially as a bonus action. And we're just going to finish off our Paladin with level 2 at level 3, which gives us Divine Smite. Now, Divine Smite is amazing. It also opens up a bunch of different options now. So, for your fighting style, you can really take whichever you want. Defense is always good. Great weapon fighting is really good. I would personally go Sword and Shield for this build. But if you want to stick with a two-handed weapon, then great weapon fighting is your best friend. For me though, I would take defense because we probably will be wearing heavy plate armor or something like that. For your spells at level 1, I would take Wraithful Smite, I would take Thunderous Smite, Searing Smite, I would take Cure Wounds, and finally I would take Shield of Faith. Protect a creature from attacks, increases armor class by 2. Concentration, and it lasts until a long rest, but this can really help you out in a pickle. And from here on out, we are taking Bard all the way to level 12, so we 10 Bard to Paladin. So, we stick with this, we get one more spell now. Again, we can really do anything. You could have taken Cure Wounds, but we now have that from our Paladin abilities. So I would take something along the lines of Bane or Long Strider. Long Strider can be really good because it's not concentration and lasts until long rest. Bane is really good because you get a 1d4 penalty to attack rolls and saving throws. And at early levels, that is a phenomenal sort of crippling ability to put on someone. Dissonant Whispers is also very good in my opinion. Frighten a creature, and they'll have disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls, and they cannot move. I think Dissonant Whispers is again another very, very good spell. So in this case, I would probably take Bane, but those are just some other options you can enforce. Okay, we are now at our specialization, because we are now level 3. So first of all, we get to pick our spell. We now have access to a level 2 spell. And for me, if we're going to be a Paladin Bard, Lesser Restoration is the way to go. A few other really good options you could take would be Shatter. I think that's a very good spell. I think Heat Metal can be very good if you can set it up properly. Clouded Daggers as well. Again, it is a concentration spell, but if you can really get people into a choke point, this can be amazing for you. But at this level, we are going to take Lesser Restoration. And we're going to go College of Valor. This gives us Martial Weapon Proficiency, Medium Armor Proficiency, and Shield Proficiency, which isn't very useful because we have got those points in Paladin. But Combat Inspiration. Inspire an ally and a plus 1d6 bonus to their attack roll, ability, saving throw, or armor class. This is phenomenal. This is one of the best uses, in my opinion, of Bardic Inspiration. We get 2 more expertise. Again, you can really put this into whatever you fancy. This automatically does it as Deception and Performance, and I'll be leaving it like that. Okay, at Bard level 4, we now have level 3 spell slots available, and we have a feat. So, we get another spell here, and Mage Hand would be my option. Either that, or Minor Illusion. I have used Minor Illusion a lot, and it is a very good spell. But for now, let's take Mage Hand. And I would take Cloud of Daggers. Now, feat-wise, I would be taking an ASI here personally. It will depend on what gear and equipment you have. If you have any bonuses to certain points you can put it into. At that point, you could take things such as Shield Master if you want to go Sword and Board, take Sentinel, Savage Attacker, just to name a few. But we'll be doing the ASI. And for this, I would be doing Charisma to bump that up all the way as high as possible. Bard at level 5, we now have improved Bardic Inspiration. So it goes from a 1d6 to a 1d8. And we have Font of Inspiration, where we regain all our Bardic Inspiration after a long or short rest. And that is a real game changer. Now we have got level 3 spells available, and there are very, very good options here. Bards are amazing spellcasters. Glyph of Warding, I think, is insane. Inscribe a circle of arcane glyphs on the ground. When stepped on by an enemy, the selected magical effect will trigger. You can only have one glyph at a time, like it warns you, but this is very good. If you can put this at like the bottom of a staircase or whatever, and have the enemies run at you, trigger this, it's phenomenal. Stinking Cloud is another good one. Create cloud of gas so nauseating it prevents creatures from taking actions. If you can set up correctly and you have a bunch of ranged people behind you who can just rain death on the enemy, phenomenal. But for now we will take Glyph of Warding. Okay, Bard level 6, we now have Counter Charm. You and any allies within 9 meters have advantage on saving throws against being frightened or charmed, and again this is amazing. We also now have access to extra attack, which will come into play, especially with our Paladin behind us. Phenomenal. We now do 2 attacks per turn, cast a bonus action spell or a Bardic Inspiration, and you can just rain down some damage. And again, I would take Stinking Cloud here. I think that's the great option. Okay, Bard level 7. We have a level 4 spell slot available, and some more spells. Now, again, so many good options here. Freedom of Movement is phenomenal. It's so good at getting over difficult terrain. I think Dimension Door is really good. This saved my butt so many times in Baldur's Gate. Confusion is amazing. Greater Invisibility is amazing. Polymorph is also amazing. There are so many good options here. But I think the only good choice, or the correct choice, is Dimension Door. Okay, Bard level 8. We are near the end of our build. We now have access to a level 5 spell slot. And we have a new feat available. And I personally would take Greater Invisibility. Again, you can't really go wrong with any of the options you have. But I just feel like Greater Invisibility is another good choice to have here. Now at this point we have 19 Charisma, so we could do an ASI to bump up to 20, and then put another point into Strength or something, or you could take something like Actor. Your Charisma increases by 1 to maximum 20, and your proficiency bonus is doubled for Deception and Performance checks. So if that is something you really go down the route of like lying and stuff like that, then this could be a great option for you. I personally would just take an ASI, and I'll do this, and I'll put 1 into Strength, and hope that my equipment and gear that I've got over the course of the game is powerful enough to bump this up to a +3. Theoretically, what you really should do is maybe dump your intelligence or your wisdom down to bump your strength up and your constitution up earlier, but that's just something to bear in mind. Okay, Bard level 9, and it's more of the same to be honest. We just get access to more spells, and I think Mass Cure Wounds is a great option here. Another good one would be Greater Restoration. Touch a creature and negate any charm, petrification, stun, or curse afflicting it. But for me, Mass Cure Wounds is just so good. And now this is where it really comes into play. We have Bard 10, improved Bardic Inspiration, level 6 spells available. Now we will take Minor Illusion, because as I spoke about earlier, I think Minor Illusion is great for what it is. And I would take Greater Restoration. And because we are a Bard at level 10, we have access to Magical Secrets, which means we can pick 2 spells from anything. So, the first one we are going to take is Haste, because I think Haste is insane. You gain an action, gain a +2 to armor class, and you become faster. Haste is phenomenal. It is a concentration spell though, bear that in mind. And when the condition ends, you do become lethargic, which means you will lose a turn. But in the thick of it, Haste is phenomenal. The other one is Banishing Smite. Possibly banish your target to another plane of existence. Now this is a smite that paladins get at level 17, I believe. We now have access to it at level 12. That is the only way to get this spell in the game. And we can pick 2 more expertise. Again, you can really go into anything you want here. We're just going to do that. Okay, and that is our Bardadin build. We are going to go find some combat and we'll test this out to show just how powerful it can be. Okay, so we're ready to start our fight. Now, outside of combat, we can do combat inspiration. So we will do this. It adds a +d10 to our first or next attack. Now we can't target ourselves, so let's just put on someone like Jaheira. Just like that. And now she has Combat Inspiration, and that used one of our 5 Combat Inspiration points. Okay, so I said we have Combat Inspiration now. This will add a plus D10 to our attack roll. So if we do something like this, you'll see we got an extra bit of attack, and we made sure we hit. And that is something you can do every single round, because you have Bardic Inspiration. Okay, it's now our turn, and because we have weak grip for some reason, I'm not entirely sure what that means, we have disadvantage on this attack. I'm assuming it's because of how we were hit. So, we have a few things we can do here. For example, we have a bunch of spells. We could do Tasha's Hideous Laughter. So if we were to throw it up as a level 1, they saved sadly, which isn't what we wanted. But because of after that, we can then do another Combat Inspiration. We could throw it onto Jaheira again, or onto Shadowheart, like such. And now she has another die of Combat Inspiration she can use in the next round. So this build is very much a damage dealer, but also a support character. For example, we have all our heals and stuff. We have our Fairy Fire to make sure people get what they need. So we can channel our Oath charge. We have 3 of them. Oh, sorry, we have 1 of them. So we can do this, Healing Radiance. And as you'll see, as a bonus action, we've healed up everyone in our vicinity, which really makes this a great protector build. That also still leaves us available to do our attacks. Our first one. And our second one. And as you see, Healing Radiance triggered once again to heal everyone up. Now, we have a few other things we can do. For example, we have Glyph of Warding, and you can pick any one of these you fancy. So if we were to do a Glyph of Warding Detonation, for example, and we'll do it at 4th level. We can pop this over here. Like that. And you see they instantly triggered it. Now one of them saved and one of them didn't. But that is something you can just do, and you can make them run into it. That also, once again, leaves us available to then cast a spell of our choice, or more Combat Inspiration. So we could pop that onto our main character, for example. Like that. And of course, what we're all here for with the Paladin is the Smites. So, it's a bonus action to do this, but we have Searing Smite, we have Thunderous Smite, Wrathful Smite, and Divine Smite. Now, if we were to do a Divine Smite, we'd do it at the highest level possible. This is a very basic flail. 15 damage, which again isn't a lot, but at a very, very basic level, it's phenomenal. And we have Vanishing Smite. So, and as you can see, the enemy has completely disappeared. They have been banished for 2 turns. Now, if you can land this, it only works on people with less than 50 hit points. But if you have a tanky barbarian enemy and you can banish them for 2 turns to allow you to heal up or to pick off the rest of the enemies, then you really saved yourself and the party a lot of aggro. And again, that still leaves us a slot available to do another Divine Smite. So we'll do this one at level 5. And there you go, we did 29 damage that time. And then once again we can come back in with another one. And we should have finished that off, but unfortunately we are using very, very basic equipment, like I said, just to show how powerful the build can be without any magic items. This allows you to once again have your bonus action available, and you can do whichever you fancy here. We can throw up a healing word on ourselves, like that, or on a teammate. And that is how that build works. It's a very protective, damage-dealing, AoE-esque build, and with the right equipment can be phenomenal. Let me know what you changed about the build if you've enjoyed it. Comment below, let me know. If you have enjoyed, please drop the episode a like, helps me amazingly. If you're new and not subscribed but you'd like to, that'd also be amazing, and hopefully I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.